Hello everyone, this is Zebo and welcome to today's How Worthy video. So Sword of Werebeasts Rey is actually the 1-year anniversary exclusive unit released in the Garden Tale CN server and got ported over to the KR server just last week. So it will be the upcoming character for the global server, and in today's video, as usual, we'll analyze whether or not this unit will be worthy of your investments or your gems, and let us see how worthy is Sword of Werebeasts Rey Potentially. Rey is the leader of the Werebeasts organization, Tooth and Fang, which was founded to prevent Werebeasts discriminations. So in the earlier days, the organization had radical aggressions to protect Werebeasts from outside discrimination. However, under Rey's leadership, the organization transformed from a violent and aggressive organization to become one that is known as a skilled, craftsman and peaceful organization instead. So she treats all the Werebeasts under her as family, and they reciprocated by staying true to her leadership. However, with the recent impersonations of the Inuits as Werebeasts for their personal gains, it started to tarnish the image that the Werebeasts have built, which poses as a serious problem for Rey to deal with. Lastly, Rey often cuts her own hair to design high quality and beautiful clothes, as she wanted to become a fashion designer when she was much younger. However, she was rejected at the art school when she was a kid due to Werebeasts discrimination, which rooted deeply in her mind till this day. Rey's stats ranking based on level 86 heroes are 7 for attack, 9 for HP and 7 for defense, with a crit chance of 5%. So in terms of the stats distribution, Rey is really powerful, as she has one of the upper echelon stats distribution in the hero pool right now. And her party buff is crit chance plus 40%, which is currently one of the strongest, if not the best party buff in the game right now, due to how versatile and how powerful the party buff is as a whole. And her skill damage plus 10% together with the 5% shield increase on battle start makes her a unit with a ton of stats that can make her good on the offensive end as well as the defensive end. So Rey's normal attack functions a lot like Bianca. Basically, the higher percentage you charge, the higher damage is dealt from the attack itself. So Rey has 3 different animations from her normal attack. From 0 to 99%, you get a normal pierce attack. If you spam it really quickly, it will just be like a poke chase attack. And from 100 to 159%, you get a minor chase plus slash animation. And from 160 to 200%, which is the maximum number you can charge to, you get a chase plus a really big AoE attack. So do take note that this normal attack of hers is able to reduce the melee defense of the enemy by 20% for 3 seconds, which is super helpful in guild raid purposes. Her secondary ability, Retaliation, is a key part of Rey's kit itself, because this allows her to retaliate damage that comes from the enemy. So when she activates the counter stance, she will stand still for 1 second, which makes her very vulnerable. But if you do get the reflect off, you're able to negate 1 damage tick from the enemy and then deal 50% DPS back to the attacker. So it's a super powerful skill if you are able to time it correctly, and at the same time it can be very detrimental if you stand still for 1 second and then you get chained by your enemies. So this is something which makes her quite skill intensive, because you need to second guess whether or not your opponent will attack you, and obviously this skill doesn't negate the CC percentage from the weapon skills of your enemy, so I don't recommend you guys use it when your opponent is using their weapon skills. So her chain skill is pretty straightforward. It simply deals 350% DPS towards the enemy in the pop, so it's a AoE attack and deals pretty high damage, simple as that. Her special ability, One with the Blade, allows her to increase her attack and defense by 30% for 10 seconds whenever she retaliates successfully. Lastly, her exclusive weapon allows her to recover 10% of her HP whenever she uses her retaliate ability, and increases the damage dealt by the Retaliate from 50% to 140%. It also provides her with 5% additional crit chance, a HP buff, a weapon skill regen speed buff, as well as a skill damage buff. The exclusive weapon skill, Deceptive Slice, deals 225% DPS damage with a low 6.5 second cooldown time. So this skill is pretty powerful. It requires about 2 full weapon skills, which is roughly 6 ticks of damage to fully chain your opponent. But if your opponent is highly mobile and it's always on the move, then this weapon skill might be a little bit hard to hit and might take like 3 or even 4 weapon skills to chain your opponent. So from the combination of the exclusive weapon as well as the special ability, we can see that Retaliation is an important part of Rey's kit, and this is what makes her a pretty skill intensive unit, as timing your Retaliation correctly will reap you huge benefits, while mistiming your Retaliation could be pretty bad for yourself. Now moving towards the Colosseum side, I think in terms of the Colosseum rankings, I think Rey is not really a good unit for Colosseum because she's melee, she's a warrior, and she doesn't have a one hit crowd control like Lina, like FP, or even like have really insane kits such as Camille. So personally, I won't recommend you to use her in the Colosseum. However, she's definitely usable in the melee team composition due to her high stats distribution, her high damage output, as well as her ability to apply a melee defense debuff, which is extremely helpful in trying to remove the front lines of your opponent as soon as possible. Now moving towards the arena side, I think Rey is a top tier unit there. She's one of your best counter to the current mono earth meta that is still very prevalent despite having a lot of fire units in the pool, but Rey will simply shut that down because Rey's playstyle is a very straightforward attack you, counter, attack your attack, and then try to kill you as fast as possible. So highly mobile teams are pretty good against Rey, right? Like units that can run really fast, that can open their distance really easily from Rey, will make it hard for Rey to actually chase after them because Rey is not exactly the most mobile unit. But nonetheless, Rey is probably one of the top tier units within Arena for a few simple reasons. Number one, crit hit chance party buff is simply one of the best party buff in Arena, right? You can feed her in a lot of teams. Defensive crit, melee crit, you can even put her in like crit with double melee, just full out damage. So you can also try her in mono fire team, right? With a fire element buff on Pilk Vice, Visual Vac together with Rey itself. So you have a lot of choices with her in terms of team setup. And in terms of the rankings, right, I can tell you guys that she's probably one of the most used crit hit unit, right, other than Hana, because Hana is a good counter to her, and then she's like a good counter to all the earth units. So we get this fire, earth, and water triangle, and in a way I would say that she's probably one of the more well-rounded unit because she deals a ton of damage with her like charging abilities, and then her own attack and defense buff abilities, as well as lastly her retaliation ability, which is able to negate 1 damage tick as well as deal damage back to your opponent. So overall, she's a very skill intensive unit, she's a very powerful unit, and she's gonna be pretty impactful, at least in the arena point of view. So for today's video, I'm not gonna showcase my arena matches because I already uploaded quite a bit of Rey's arena footages on the channel itself. So if you guys are keen to find out more about her arena prowess, feel free to visit the videos in my channel. I'll link them in my card above so that you guys can actually go watch it if you guys want to find out how good she is in the arena settings. Now moving towards the PvE discussion, I think without a doubt Rey is definitely a top tier unit. In fact, I think she's an S tier unit in terms of PvE when she's player controlled. However, if she's AI controlled, I think you can't really maximize her retaliation abilities because I think AI will actually mistime her ability once in a while and then you won't really get a buff off her. But then again, her ability to provide a universal crit hit party buff as well as, a melee defense debuff on the bosses is also very good in the raids itself. So in retrospect, I think Lan is a unit with the HP percentage buff, but Lan has a melee defense debuff, and this is enough to warrant Lan's usage within the guild raids itself. So this speaks volume for Rey, who has a much better party buff for guild raid, as well as also having the melee defense party buff. At the same time, Rey is also able to clear multiple enemies quickly, as she does a bit of AoE damage in her kit, which is very good in clearing contents with many minions. So below are some reasons to pull or invest in Swords of Werebeasts Rey. And how worthy is Rey Potentially? Rey is definitely a top tier pool in my honest opinion because she's able to satisfy your needs in many different game modes, be it your PvP or your PvE settings. She's also a solid choice to counter one of the most prevalent and even the annoying monocomms in the game right now, which is Mono Earth. So building her is definitely a win-win situation for you. However, as powerful as Rey may sound, she is not without a weakness, and that is her being really immobile. Like, she is very easily kited by units with massive movement speed advantage, so she is also very reliant on her secondary ability to maximize her full potential, so she might not be the easiest to use as compared to the many other OP units, and she might not be really beginner friendly, so do take note of that. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Do let me know down in the comment section below whether or not you'll pull for Rey on the global release of her, and do remember to like and subscribe in order to see more videos from the channel. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.